Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and if you're interested in learning how to play walking bass, this is the third of a three-part special called Walking Bass for Beginners, the mini course. If this sounds like your bag, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and welcome to this third and last part of the three-part mini-series called Walking Bass for Beginners. If you haven't already done so, please do go back and check out parts 1 and 2. That's really going to give a load of great context for what we're going to cover in this lesson. But before we jump into the lesson, please make sure you download the free PDF which comes with this lesson. It's going to give you a load of great and really useful lesson notes and put everything that we're talking about into context, because you'll see it written down, which is really super helpful when studying walking bass. And lastly, as I said before, this is part of a much bigger project called the Essential Walking Bass course, which is going to be one of our flagship eBassGuitar Bass Lab Plus courses for all of our Bass Lab Plus members. So I urge you to check that out. There's some links below where you can check out the course and all of the other great courses which are in the Bass Lab Plus. Also, the backing tracks which are used as part of this project are in the Bass Lab Plus too, so you can get inside there and download those too and really put everything we cover in this course into context. But let's jump straight into it now and jump onto the whiteboard. So in this third lesson of this Walking Bass for Beginners mini-series, we're going to be looking at chromatics. And this is probably a sound that you're very familiar with if you've listened to players like Ray Brown, Ron Carter, Christian McBride, etc. This is where we approach the note that we want to go to by a half step. Let me demonstrate the sound first of all, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the whiteboard. So if we take this roots and fifths idea that we looked at in the previous lesson, in lesson 2, if we were to go for this to the fifth, what we could do is we could approach the fifth from a half step below, a chromatic half step below. So let me go, we would go F, and then to get to the C, we would go via a B. Like so. And where we would place the B is on beat 2 of the bar. So we could go. And this is a really powerful concept. So let me write it down. So on beat 2 here, we would use a lower chromatic because we are approaching from below. So what we would do is we'd write a natural sign, like so, and we'd put a B there, and then you'd see it would land on the C on the third beat of the bar. And chromatics work brilliantly on the weaker beats of the bar. It doesn't matter, for those of you into music theory, it doesn't matter that a B natural technically clashes with a B flat. If you use it in passing, and that's the critical thing, as a passing note on one of the weaker beats of the bar, like beat 2 or beat 4, you can get it to work really nicely. So you can transfer this concept throughout the rest of the blues. So to go from on the B flat chord to the F, we can use an E natural, so B flat to the F, half step below the F is the E natural. So let's put like that with the natural sign like that, and then we get this. And this gives us quite a distinctive shape on the fingerboard. So what I've done now is I've filled this out for the first 8 bars, and I've also done the G minor 2. So going to the fifth, so we've gone G to D, so G to the D, and the passing note to get to the D is the C sharp, like this, and then the same we can do for the C7, C, and then we can do an F sharp to get to the G. But I haven't yet done these last 2 bars, because this for me is where it gets really exciting. So what we're doing here is it's all about looking at our target notes. So we are going to the D here on the chord change. So let me put this in. So a chromatic note to get to the D would be a C sharp. So let's put that in there. So remember we were going, so we go like so, And then to get to the G minor chord, a chromatic below, so because we're using lower chromatics here, would be an F sharp. So let's put that in there. And then to get to the C would be a B natural. And then to get back to the F would be an E. So I want to play you what that line sounds like, because this for me is where it really starts to get exciting. In fact, I'm just going to put that lower E down the octave so it literally goes round in a circle like that. So let's put the E, so we're going to use an open E there. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Like that, and that takes us back to the low F. And what I really encourage you to do is loop this round, because this really is a classic jazz turnaround. You really are playing the real thing here. And why I love this chromatics idea, because we're not getting bogged down into working out what the major third is or the flattened seventh, etc. We could just use this idea of chromatics, half-step chromatics, to get to our target note. And this works great in other styles of music to you. You may be familiar with the classic bass line Mustang Sally. It's actually one of my favourite bass lines because I think it's really interestingly constructed. I'll play it to you quickly. So, and that is using lower chromatics. So if you think of strong notes as a C and a G, like that, we're using an F sharp to get to the G and a B natural to get back to the C. So you can see these ideas all over the place, particularly going into players like James Jamerson. But let's try this out so you can hear what this sounds like in context.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So for this last variation, we're going to push things on again. You may remember me saying earlier that the 2 and the 4, beats 2 and 4, are the weaker notes in the bar, and this is where it's perfect to add these chromatics in, or chromaticism is another word. And what I did to begin with was do this on beat 2, like so. But I'm going to do it again now on beat 4, hence why I've rubbed out beat 4 throughout the whole of this. And what we're doing is we're using the first beat of the next bar as our target note. So if our target note is a B flat there on beginning of bar 2, we can use the lower chromatic to get there. So turn the bass on like that. And so our lower chromatic would be an open A, which is a half step below. So I'm going to write an open A in like that. And then we can carry this principle on like so. So if we've got an F there, our lower chromatic before that would be an E natural. And then if we're going up to this higher F up here, we can use an E natural there. Then we're going to a B there. So that is a perfect one to use the A again here. Same thing again to get to that B flat there. We can use the A natural. And then to the E natural again there to get to that F. Then this is where it gets interesting. To get to the G, we can use an F sharp at the end of that bar there. If this sounds like rocket science, don't forget this is all written out in the PDF for you to see with the tab too, so you can see exactly where to put your fingers. And then again, to get to the target note of the C7, we're going to use a B natural on beat 4. Don't forget, this is all about where you are going. So these chromatics are all about where you're heading, which is the crucial thing to understand. So we're going to put B natural in there. And then I'm going to put an E natural in there to get to there. And can you see how across these 3 lessons we've gone from a relatively simple bass line, just playing literally quarter notes, to this really interesting concept that we've got written down here, and we haven't had to discuss whether it's a 3rd, 5th, 7th. All we need to know is our chromatics and our target notes. So let me play you this first of all in isolation, and we'll play it with a track. Okay, to me that sounds great. Obviously, when you get a little bit more experience with this, if you take the Essential Walking Bass course, I'm going to show you how to take this a stage further, and so you start to mix up these ideas even further. So when you hear the great sound and they sound like they're spontaneously improvising these lines the whole time, I'm going to show you the strategies and the ideas which are behind all of that, and start to demystify what probably seems like an overwhelming concept. But let's put it with the concept of with the track so you can hear what it sounds like.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So guys, that is the end of part 3 of this 3-part mini course on how to play walking bass. If you haven't already done it, please make sure you check out parts 1 and 2. There's a ton of great information in there. If you've enjoyed this mini course, please do give it a like and share on social. Don't forget to also grab the free PDF which comes with this lesson. And lastly, make sure you check out the full Essential Walking Bass course, which is a full-on epic where you can really understand this amazing style of walking bass and start pushing your bass playing on to that next stage. Anyway, I've been James here from eBassGuitar, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers for now.